It's the most controversial Princess Diana story ever. It made world headlines and sent shockwaves through the British establishment.
Queen Camilla has been forcibly expelled from the palace, accused of a crime that has shaken the monarchy to its core. Princess Diana's death. Whispers swirl of tampered evidence, secret alliances, and a catastrophic error. Shock and disbelief ripple through the royal family, leaving courtiers frozen and aides scrambling. Could ambition, vengeance, or something far darker be at play? As the gilded gates slam behind her, a chilling question lingers in the hushed corridors. What hidden truth will finally tear the crown apart? The day the crown trembled. On July 16, 2025, the United Kingdom awoke to a shock that no one could have imagined. Headlines blazed across newspapers and screens alike. Queen Camilla had been placed under strict palace confinement, accused of treason and conspiracy. The announcement rippled through the nation like a thunderclap, leaving citizens and royal watchers alike holding their breath, uncertain if what they were witnessing was real or some surreal nightmare. The monarchy, an institution steeped in centuries of tradition and secrecy, suddenly seemed fragile, vulnerable, and exposed. In a move as swift as it was dramatic, security forces stormed Clarence House, Camilla's official residence. The corridors that had long echoed with polite conversation and ceremonial footsteps now vibrated with tension and urgency. Camilla, taken completely by surprise, faced the moment with a mix of composed dignity and stunned disbelief. Calm but firm voices informed her, "You are being detained under royal warrant pending criminal review." In that instant, the weight of history pressed down. A queen consort, long considered untouchable, was suddenly caught in the unforgiving machinery of justice and royal protocol. Just 2 days later, King Charles signed the formal arrest order himself. The decision, as heartbreaking as it was historic, sent shockwaves through the palace and the public alike. With the stroke of a pen, he stripped the woman he had loved for decades of her royal status, reshaping the very face of the British monarchy. Whispers of betrayal and disbelief filled the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace, where portraits of past rulers seemed to watch silently, as if bearing witness to the unraveling of a dynasty. The centuries-old institution, once steadfast and unyielding, now appeared to buckle under the weight of scandal and human frailty. The trial that followed took place in Westminster Hall, a location saturated with history and symbolic power. For 8 tense hours, the world watched in disbelief as evidence unfolded before their eyes. Letters from Princess Diana, heavily redacted but still brimming with personal revelations, surfaced alongside suspicious financial records, secret communications, and previously unreleased voice recordings. Each piece of evidence, carefully presented, seemed to pull the threads of Camilla's life apart, weaving a narrative that was difficult, if not impossible, to ignore. Camilla's legal team fought to reframe the narrative, insisting that at most, their client had been careless, not malicious. They argued for negligence rather than conspiracy, portraying their client as a flawed human rather than a criminal mastermind. But by that point, public opinion had shifted decisively. The tide of sentiment, once neutral or even sympathetic, now turned sharply against her. The halls of Westminster, the streets of London, and living rooms across the nation buzzed with speculation, judgment, and astonishment. Then, finally, came the moment that would be etched into royal history forever. A hush fell over the courtroom, and the world seemed to pause, collectively bracing for a revelation that would change everything. In that suspended silence, the question loomed over the monarchy and the nation alike. What truth had been uncovered, and how far would its consequences reach? Then, what hidden truth has Operation Orchid revealed? And could it unravel the crown entirely? What do you think happened next? Keep watching. Operation Orchid. Secrets unveiled. Long before the world reeled at Queen Camilla's confinement, a hidden investigation had quietly begun behind closed doors.
The public questioned whether Camilla would get a new title after King Charles' coronation, but speculation was quickly cleared up on the day.
In March 2025, Prince William authorized a covert legal audit into the tragic events surrounding Princess Diana's death in 1997. The operation, codenamed Operation Orchid, was narrowly focused on the 3 critical days between August 28th and August 31st, 1997, her final days in Paris. For decades, Diana's death had been widely regarded as a tragic accident. Now, nearly 30 years later, what had once been dismissed as misfortune was under rigorous scrutiny, suggesting possible misdirection and deliberate missteps. The inquiry unearthed a 2003 legal dossier, long sealed and ignored, revealing troubling irregularities in Diana's security arrangements. In particular, it flagged last-minute changes to her protection detail and implicated associates connected to Clarence House, hinting at influence from Camilla's inner circle. By May 2025, startling testimony surfaced from former French investigator Jean-Luc Martin, who revealed that key records from the crash had been redacted just months after the tragedy at the request of the British Embassy. New documents exposed a critical adjustment to Diana's motorcade schedule, a 12-hour delay caused by last-minute personnel reassignments. Surveillance logs also exposed a series of secret palace emails, marked under the cryptic label Legacy ISI, showing instructions for handling destabilizing risk, phrasing previously unseen in connection to the fatal accident. The most damning evidence came from an MI6 whistleblower. Encrypted voice recordings, one time-stamped August 29, 1997, at 22:15, captured Camilla's voice asking, "Are you sure the escort can wait?" That delay of 45 minutes meant Diana's motorcade never reached its intended destination. Hours later, just after midnight on August 31st, the fatal crash at the Alma Tunnel claimed her life. These recordings, never disclosed before, directly contradicted every previous claim that the tragedy was purely accidental. When Operation Orchid's final report was submitted on May 28, 2025, it revealed that Diana's security detail had been inexplicably downgraded from 4 personnel to just 1 minute before entering the tunnel. Surveillance footage and guard rosters confirmed the shocking alteration. Reading the findings, Prince William reportedly fell into silence. Behind closed doors, he whispered a judgment that would reverberate through the monarchy. This was not incompetence, it was betrayal. As the investigation concluded, another revelation amplified the gravity of the findings. A handwritten letter by Diana herself, penned in October 1996, emerged from a private vault once belonging to her former butler, Paul Burrell. Forensic experts confirmed its authenticity, noting the stationery, ink, and handwriting matched Diana's Kensington Palace correspondence. In it, she warned, "There is a plan. Camilla has more power than anyone believes."
Queen Camilla officially took on the title of Queen Consort after Queen Elizabeth II passed away in September 2022.
A second note, dated June 1st, 1997, just 10 weeks before her death, contained even more chilling instructions. "If anything happens to me on the trip, open this." Both letters had remained sealed until Prince William exercised emergency override authority in May 2025. Operation Orchid also uncovered internal palace emails sent between August 15th and August 30th, 1997, which referenced phrases like destabilization may be required and legacy transition. The timing aligned precisely with Diana's second note, transforming decades of whispered suspicions into concrete, documented patterns. By June 15, 2025, UK broadcasters released the letters publicly, and the world reacted immediately. Within hours, hashtags demanding justice for Diana trended across 81 countries. Parliament convened an emergency debate 2 days later, as commentators labeled the revelations the most consequential in modern royal history. What had once been speculation now became verified, undeniable evidence. Diana's warnings, ignored for decades, now demanded accountability. The public outcry surged, yet the most decisive confrontation with Camilla would not come from protesters or journalists. It would emerge from within the palace itself, setting the stage for a reckoning that could reshape the monarchy forever. But what hidden truths will Princess Anne's revelations uncover? Could they finally expose the forces behind Diana's death and shake the crown itself? Stay with us as more mystery unfolds. Princess Anne exposes the financial web. By July 2025, as the fallout from Operation Orchid reverberated through the monarchy, Princess Anne, fierce, meticulous, and unwaveringly loyal to her mother's legacy, took matters into her own hands.
Princess Anne sat down with Chris Shipp, the ITV royal editor and Sunrise contributor.
Recognizing that emotional testimony alone could not carry the weight of justice, she launched a parallel investigation, determined to trace the financial currents that had flowed behind Diana's final days. Working alongside her longtime royal auditor, Edward Septon, Anne began dissecting every transaction linked to Clarence House between 1996 and 1998, methodically following the paper trail wherever it led. The results were both shocking and precise. On August 29, 1997, a sum of $2.4 million was wired from a discreet offshore trust in the Cayman Islands to a private contractor in Paris, a now-defunct security logistics firm called Lucentia Global. The firm had no record with the royal payroll and no known contracts with MI6 or any official palace operations. Its sole assignment at the time was a vehicle transfer. Yet the timing of this transfer coincided eerily with Diana's last days. Even more alarming were Lucentia's instructions on August 28th, the evening before Diana's fatal crash. The firm's local partner, Jean Monantler, later testified that directives to facilitate evening surveillance disruption at the Ritz Paris, the hotel where Diana and Dodi Alpha dined, meant deliberate reassignment of escorts and rerouting of protective vehicles. Every detail aligned unsettlingly with the timeline leading to the tragic accident in the Alma Tunnel. Anne's investigation uncovered an even darker layer of coordination. Encrypted emails between Camilla's longtime aide, Harrison Dent, and Lucentia's UK liaison revealed a chilling message dated August 20th, 1997. Final assurance required. Delays are non-attributable. Cyber forensic teams verified the correspondence as authentic, buried deep within servers in Berkshire. The evidence suggested that Diana's security was deliberately manipulated, funded through offshore accounts, and orchestrated with palace connections. Camilla, long perceived as a distant figure in the tragedy, now appeared at the very center of the conspiracy. On July 12, 2025, Anne presented her findings directly to King Charles in a private audience at Windsor Castle. For 40 long minutes, the king sat in silence, reviewing transaction records, offshore banking logs, and contractor briefs, his usual composure replaced by an uncharacteristic stillness. The man who had once defended Camilla fiercely now said nothing. When Anne finally broke the silence, her words were sharp and deliberate. "She killed our mother's peace." Charles, with his head bowed, closed the file and issued the directive Anne had anticipated. Do what must be done. With the financial evidence now firmly in the king's hands, and Anne standing resolute as guardian of justice, the palace faced a truth it could no longer ignore. The hidden monetary trail, once invisible, had exposed a web of intent, influence, and betrayal reaching back decades. Yet even with Anne's revelation shaking the foundations of Clarence House, the full reckoning had yet to come. It would be Prince William, drawing upon the findings of Operation Orchid, and now Anne's meticulous financial audit, who would step forward to confront the monarchy. Now what hidden truth will William uncover? And can the crown survive this reckoning before the world demands answers? Stay glued. William commands justice behind closed gates. On July 16, 2025, Prince William summoned his legal counsel, Sir Daniel Graysark, to Kensington Palace for an emergency briefing that had been called without precedent. Clutching Anne's exhaustive financial report, Diana's authenticated letters, and the final transcript from Operation Orchid, William moved decisively.
That Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident.
At 9:32 a.m., he signed an official request to Scotland Yard's Royal Security Division, invoking the rarely used Crown Integrity Act of 2019, a statute reserved for cases of national-level betrayal. In that instant, Camilla Parker Bowles, Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, was placed under formal criminal review. By early afternoon, the palace gates were sealed with precision. No leaks, no press briefings, just silence. At 2:15 p.m., 2 unmarked vehicles arrived at the north entrance of Clarence House. Camilla, reportedly on a private call with her sister, Annabel Elliot, was taken completely by surprise. A senior officer entered her study and delivered the words with calm authority. Under authority granted by the sovereign's estate, you're being placed under palace confinement, pending charges of treason and conspiracy to manipulate state assets. Witnesses said Camilla went pale, murmuring only one word, William. By 4 p.m., a sealed arrest notice reached King Charles's personal chamber. Though visibly devastated, the king signed the document, reportedly whispering, "For Diana, or the truth." The following day, Camilla was confined to the east wing of Balmoral, stripped of her security detail and placed under continuous 24-hour surveillance. While she officially retained her title as queen consort, in practice, she became a royal prisoner. When the story broke on July 18th, the world erupted. Headlines from BBC to CNN declared, "Camilla under arrest, monarchy in crisis." Within 12 hours, over 4 million tweets used the hashtag Justice for Diana. Protesters gathered outside Clarence House and Buckingham Palace, holding signs reading, "30 years too late." For the first time in modern history, the crown, the law, and public demand converged. Camilla could no longer hide behind her royal status. The stage was set for a dramatic reckoning, one that would not unfold behind closed doors, but in the historic chambers of Westminster Hall, where her public interrogation would shake the kingdom to its core. And what hidden truth could force a queen into exile, stripped of power and legacy? Stay tuned. Exile in isolation. On August 2, 2025, Camilla was quietly transferred to a remote private estate known as the Isle of Skye, chosen by the Royal Exile Council for its isolation and extreme security. The property, once belonging to a distant cousin of the Queen Mother, offered rugged cliffs and dense forest, forming a natural barrier more than 3 meters thick. Modern amenities had been stripped, leaving her confined in a space both austere and controlled. A royal decree signed by King Charles the evening before explicitly barred her from attending any royal palace, ceremonial event, or public engagement.
King Charles III was officially crowned King of the United Kingdom at the long-awaited coronation ceremony at Westminster Abbey on May 6.
In every sense, Camilla had become a ghost of her former status. The media labeled it a velvet exile, but those inside the palace understood the reality. Only 6 staff members, all appointed by the Crown, attended to her. 2 security officers, 1 cook, 1 nurse, and 2 administrative stewards. Her communications were tightly monitored, limited to supervised phone calls once a week. Visitors were prohibited except for her sister, Annabel Elliot, and even those visits required prior approval. Funding for her upkeep was drawn exclusively from her personal Parker Bowles assets, removing any reliance on the sovereign grant. Scotland Yard classified her confinement as Tier 3, citing her as a potential royal security breach. Camilla's days followed a rigid routine, rising at 6:30 a.m., checking meals, attending bi-weekly therapy sessions, and lights out enforced by 9 p.m. She was permitted books and censored news, but no internet. Making letters from her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, her only real connection to the outside world. Both children had already faced scrutiny. Laura lost her art trustee privileges at the National Gallery following her tribunal testimony, and Tom resigned from his Daily Mail column amid public backlash. The exile was designed to erase Camilla from royal life while maintaining the appearance of dignity. Yet within the stone walls and silent forests of the Isle of Skye, the weight of scrutiny, betrayal, and isolation pressed down with relentless intensity, setting the stage for a confrontation that could no longer be delayed. So, what do you think? Was Camilla's exile the final act of justice, or just the beginning of a deeper royal reckoning? We'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.